Hi everybody, I hope this video finds you well. It's actually kind of pleasant and I'm able to get up and move just a little bit today, so I thought I'd come out and sit in the secret garden for a little bit. It's quite a mess out here, I have to tell you. The grass, the grass and clover, the clover's growing in quite nice, but it's like, I don't know, a foot tall. That's what happens when you get laid low for 3 weeks with a kidney stone. I know there's so many things going on out there right now, so I had a lot of things that I was planning on doing this month and it changed, and so really this vlog video will change too. I've been in quite a bit of pain for the last 3 weeks. I really couldn't do anything for about 3 weeks. I got into the ER twice, and the second time the doctors there were able to get me into a urologist rather quickly, and then the urologist was able to get me into surgery pretty quickly, just within a few days. And I'm really grateful because it actually got done right the day before all of our hospitals started to restrict surgeries and doctors. So I'm really grateful I got that done before all that happened. And it's still going to take me a little while to recover. It was pretty major. For the last 3 weeks, I've had a lot of time to think while being in agony. And so I've decided to make a few changes. And there's a lot of changing going on everywhere right now, day to day. You don't really know what will be next. And I think it's really good to kind of just roll with the punches and adjust as we need to. I recognize the seriousness of it, because it's serious. Fear is not a good thing to give into, though. And that's easy for me. I do have fear. I'm afraid that my son might get this, and then he's at high risk because he has scars in his lungs. However, fear is not a good thing to give into. So I always try to acknowledge the seriousness of a situation and then really look at what can I control about the situation, what can't I? And that way I know what I can focus on and how to deal with it. And so the past few weeks I've been dealing with the kidney stone, and then all this coronavirus stuff started. And for us, because my kiddo has scars in his lungs and we've seen him go through a life-threatening illness, we are more cautious than we probably would have been in different circumstances. But our lives are actually already semi stay in place anyway, to be honest. When he first got sick, the kiddo was quarantined an awful lot for his health. So we kind of adjusted to that kind of lifestyle. And then also that's when I started doing all the cleaning of doorknobs and handles and car doors and all that sort of stuff, steering wheels, anything we touch. And I've carried that habit throughout the years. So, and staying in, we've been doing an awful lot of that in the last few years because of his chemical sensitivities. He can't go places that most people go. So we're pretty much already kind of have a lifestyle like that. We've gone a step further, of course, now. Right now we are just staying in. My husband, he still goes to work, but he comes home and he showers and washes his clothes. And we just don't have any other contact. I'm going to try to readjust here against here for my back. But over the years, we've learned to stay in touch with our friends through different means, and so that's really, what we're doing. And I hope everybody else, you're able to do that too, that you have people you can talk to and visit with, and you're still in touch just through a different way, via the internet or your phones or things like that. Just stay in touch, and I think that's a good thing. You know, I was saying I've had a lot of time to think about about my health issues and lifestyle, and I think that I was working towards some of these changes that I've decided to go ahead and implement, but I didn't really have a conscious plan of doing these changes, and now I've made a definite decision and a definite goal. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tasha Tudor. You probably have. She was a cool lady and an amazing artist and gardener. And I was rereading an article about her a couple weeks ago while I was laying in bed, and it reminded me of what her pattern in life was, and I thought, you know, it's kind of the pattern I would like to go for, and also I think it would benefit how I manage my time in my life really well, without having to give up things that I really love. So, because I have a lot on my plate to take care of a lot of things, and in January and February it became more so because of all the issues that happened in those months. And because of that, I really neglected myself. I wasn't paying attention to my hydration. That was the big thing. And I got dehydrated and I got worn down. And then I got this really huge kidney stone, and I've really paid that price. So I really want to make sure that going forward I do a better job. About, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, I had a kidney stone, and I had gotten dehydrated because I got too busy doing stuff again. Only that was 15, 20 years ago, and as you age, it gets harder to deal with these things. So I'm implementing some changes in my life so that, like I said, I can still enjoy things, and I can still meet all the needs that need to be met. And I have to also say I'm really grateful to my guys. They have taken really good care of me in the last 3 weeks. I haven't been able to do anything, and they've taken care of everything. Before the coronavirus thing happened, I had some friends that helped take my kiddo to his appointments. But now that the coronavirus is a threat, thankfully several of his appointments they have changed it to online, so that he can be at home and he can still have his appointments. All right, so first let me talk about the changes in the art studio. I'm sorry, I'm a little scattered, but I'm still not well yet, but I'm well enough I can talk to you guys. So the changes, what I've decided is I'm going to follow the pattern that Tasha Tudor had, and that was she would do her gardening in the summer and put up food in the fall, and in the winters is when she would do her art. And I actually think that really makes a lot of sense. For my life pattern, it would actually make my life a lot easier. It's a little hard in an artist brain to just say, okay, I'm not going to work on any art for a period of time. But one of the techniques that I've always used is I can't always do what pops up in my head, and so I quick sketch it, put it in a book. That way I know it's there, and then later I can go back to it and work on a piece. So that's what I will be doing through the summer. I will be, when I have an idea, I'll put it down quick in a sketch, and that way it's safe for in the winter. I can look back at it. And also the videos through the summer will be gardens and natural stuff. And then in the fall and winter will be art. So, and then through the summer, of course, I'll still have the art for sale, and I'll post things about that. But I won't actually be working on the art in the summer. I'll just be working on the gardens. And that way I still get to do what I really love. I get to help my family, and I get to still share it with all of you. So those are the changes in the art studio. That's going to be happening. And of course, this month I did nothing at all in the art studio. I did have some videos and things that I had saved up, because sometimes I do some videos ahead of time. That way I know I have some content I can share. But I ran out of those at a certain point while I was battling this kidney stone thing. So now let me talk a little bit about the coronavirus situation. Everybody's talking about it, and everybody's really stressing. And I understand the stress because there's changes and things out of our control, and it's a little scary. And I think it's okay to acknowledge it's a little scary, but giving into the fear is a dangerous thing. So we're just trying to stay battened down and calm. I think about, I was going to talk a little bit about mental health and my kiddo. He has quite a few issues. I haven't talked about it at all before because it is his personal, his life, his situation. But it does affect us. And he has quite a few appointments. And I have to tell you, the help has helped him. And a circumstance like this can increase anxiety and panic and trauma. And that's where his issues stem from, or his traumas when he was little. And I'll talk about it from my viewpoint and how it affects me and how I've had to deal with it because I don't want to intrude on his privacy. I know you all know I love him with all my heart, so you understand that it's a difficult thing for me. When he was going through all these things that happened to him, there were some things that we couldn't avoid. It had to be done. It was the things that was just lack of good care or mistakes, bad choices by healthcare providers. And I've been real cautious over the years not to make public statements about problems that we've had with different ones in medical care. I believe it's just part of being human. I think, no one who hurt him intended to hurt him, but because of a bad choice they did, and they made the trauma much worse. It happened quite a bit over the time that he was treated. And, if all of those people, if they looked back, they would know how to do it differently. But at the time, they didn't. So what I'm saying is, I don't hold them accountable. I don't hate them. I forgive that because it was mistakes. It angered me. Yeah. And I stopped all the trauma, but the damage usually was already done before I could get it stopped. And I think a lot of people don't really realize how many of those things happened to him because they just think about the treatment. Treatment's hard, but it wasn't necessarily the treatment. It was just the different traumas that he went through that he didn't need to go through. So yeah, those kind of things will anger me, and I don't dwell on it that much. But when he was going through a lot of that, I remember thinking to myself, how does a little child survive this emotionally, psychologically? I don't know. And we did everything in our power to comfort him, to protect him, to help him comprehend and cope with what he was going through. But in the last few years, I've learned a lot about the brain and how it grows and develops, and have learned that really we did all those things, and it's good that we did, but it couldn't have stopped the problems that he deals with now. Because a little kid's brain cannot comprehend or cope with what he went through. And there were a lot of traumas, but also there's medical things that had to be done that caused some damages. And just the original, when he collapsed and wasn't breathing in front of me that first day, and I did CPR on him, he was actually without oxygen for a total of 6 minutes. I kept him alive, But when the paramedics got there, his pulse ox was 25, something in the 20s. And he wasn't responding to paramedics. So he had a time period without brain function with the oxygen. He was in a coma for a while. There's some medical things that have caused some problems for him now. And I think as a caretaker, caregiver, a mom, someone you love that suffers this way, there's a certain point, at a certain age, and that's where he's at right now, where the brain is developing in a certain way, and these problems, the damage becomes very apparent. And I think the trick is finding the right people to help, because there's a lot of help out there, but you have to find the right help for the right situation. For him, he had childhood trauma, and thankfully there's a group here in New Mexico who specializes in caring for people who had childhood trauma. I can be comforted. The last few years I've just been miserable about the fact that he was damaged and frustrated that I wasn't able to stop that. But I am comforted that I didn't bring him the damage. I'm comforted that I did my best to reduce the misery he went through. And I'm comforted that there are groups of people who know how to deal with what he's going through right now. And this coronavirus thing, it can affect people who have all these problems to begin with, anxiety and panic, and so right now it's a good time to be focusing on things that are healthy and good for us and joyful, while acknowledging the seriousness and taking care to do what we should do. And that's really what we're doing. Actually, me being sick has probably helped the kiddo a little bit, because he's had to help take care of me, so that helps him a little bit. And like I said, our lifestyle is kind of set up to be pretty self-contained anyhow, since he has all those chemical sensitivity issues. And how lovely it is to have a garden. If you don't have a garden, plant something. It'll be fun. You'll like it. Believe me. And take a deep breath. That's what I'm doing. Enjoying my critters. And just grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for my boy, that he's okay. I'm grateful for some of these things that are growing. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful. And I'm really happy today to be sitting out in the sunshine. I'm telling you. I know I've rambled. Sorry about rambling. I'm not even sure if it makes any sense at all. Sorry about the little dog next door. Whiny a little bit, yeah. She whines a little bit when I sit in the courtyard, because she hears me, but I think she just wants in. But she's not out there a whole lot, just once in a while. But anyhow, so going forward, we're just going to still, day by day, take it as we go, day by day, adjust as we need to. Keep learning, basic skills about food keeping and growing and enjoying the beautiful sunshine, getting some fresh air, playing with the doggies, watching some silly movies. I was going to mention, I try to post on my, different sites, Facebook, Instagram, really positive, silly, sometimes silly, cheerful things, while acknowledging the seriousness of an event. I'm not ignoring the seriousness of it. I just think that it's really good for us to find some joy along the way, some gratitude, some ways to cope with what we're all going through, and not focusing so much on the fear of it, because that's the thing that I think builds by watching too much news and too much information. It can really build that anxiety. So let's get outside if we can, sit in some sunshine, read a good book. How long has it been since we've all just sat down to read a good book? It's hard to slow down, isn't it? But it's okay. We can slow down. A Snickers dog down here, sorry. I know you can't see him, and I was like, what's he doing? He wants to sit on my lap, but I can't be lifting him right now. He loves the secret garden. It's his favorite place. All right, guys, go plant something. Love ya.